Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, April 13th. This is Nadex Morning Analysis. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. We are going to go through hotspots or potential hotspots in the markets today, places to look for potential volatility and potential trading opportunity. Before Brian and I jump into it, oh, you know what? I got to make sure that, there we go, that I'm sharing the right screen. I do need to do this quick disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk, and that this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. So the story of the day, we're going to see some things moving around. The news broke at 7 a.m. this morning. And when we look at the charts, you're going to go, wow, that was quite the reaction. The U.S., the FDA has asked the FDA has asked that we suspend the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as they take another look at that vaccine after 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can count them with the toes on one foot. 6 cases of blood clotting out of millions, but they're playing it safe than sorry on this one. Of course, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is old school technology where it is dead virus. But in any case, with these clotting cases, they're pausing that. Johnson & Johnson stock getting hit for 2 or 3%, but it caused an immediate reaction in the Dow and the S&P 500, and it doesn't seem to be that long-lived. Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you and let you take it, because it's I'm trying to digest it all myself.
Yeah. So,
crazy.
I mean, obviously there's going to be a knee-jerk reaction to it, and that's what we've seen in the markets. And again, as you mentioned, it's 6 cases. One woman has passed away, and a second one is hospitalized in critical condition. Obviously, blood clots are not something to mess around with.
No, that's
as far as a lot of people see this as like, oh, did they know? I came from that realm in a prior life, and basically 1 in a million is really kind of what it's boiling back down to. Nearly 7 million people have had it. 9 million doses are out there. Understand that everything that we take always kind of goes back to the risk versus benefit type scenario. If you guys remember, just the last few days, we've heard in the European Union and the Swiss talk about the AstraZeneca vaccine, talking about the benefit is far outweighing the risk that they currently see it with reactions. Now, do they know what is causing it? No, and that's why they're asking for the halt right now, just to make sure that it is not something, and again, much, much worse. The reason I'm bringing that up is not to get on a soapbox, but because as soon as people see this, see it in the headline, immediately everything's going to be flown into kind of a flurry. Like yesterday, everything was best case scenario for the market. Today, having Johnson & Johnson, and then as well as the economic data that we just got, it's kind of switching things around. I don't think that this is the end all be all. I think they'll figure out some way to do this one. There are probably still people out there that if they had the ability to get Johnson & Johnson, they would probably still take it versus having to deal with COVID and those things. So we'll learn more. And this is always one of those things. I mean, the difference between J&J and the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines is kind of a tested technology versus not. It's not actually bad that it is the tested old school technology, because they have a lot more data and they can really dial down and really kind of figure out, is it safe for us to use or is it not? But it just kind of goes back to that. But as you said, the other economic data that I want to kind of put in here real fast,
CPI,
is the CPI data. Yesterday we talked about if this was negative, right? Expect the market to really kind of go crazy, but it did the exact opposite. Both of them were actually higher than expected. Again, we're seeing a higher, and they were predicted to be higher, 0.5 versus 0.4, 0.2 versus 0.1. They came in at 0.6 versus 0.3. Now, we heard Powell say it's very unlikely we're going to raise it, and we've heard people say 2023. Now we're starting to see even more inflation. So seeing inflation at a faster rate than what they expected is also somewhat negative for the economy. But then again, remember the retail traders like, oh God, J&J, what's going to happen? Now we only have kind of 2 bullets in the gun, not 3, to fight COVID, as well as I mentioned, spring break cases are starting to come in. I know I got a phone call yesterday from my son's school. They had one. The kid hasn't been there since March 30th. So I know that myself and my kids are not, we're not at risk. But again, if the kid hasn't been there since the 30th, where was he? Oh wait, that was spring break week for my son's school. So yeah, we're already starting to see just locally for me, people are traveling. I know 4 or 5 families that did. So I'm expecting to see that data in a day or two that we're seeing numbers rise. Not
I think
necessarily because of the
it's
variants.
kind of expected, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
going to happen. More people will
absolutely.
interact.
Absolutely expected, but that doesn't mean lumped on top of, okay, COVID cases are rising and we just got rid of J&J.
Right.
Oh my God, what's going to happen? It's coming back again. We're going to do lockdown, shut everything down. I mean, it's going crazy. You know, the UK has had great data. We'll talk about that at 12 today, but it's kind of crazy. And again, here's that knee-jerk reaction like we talked about. Now, obviously, you know, this one actually right around this, it just dropped, right? It came right through the floor. You're able to see an immediate kind of turnaround right here when the news came out. And this is kind of one of those interesting things. So you can see that it dropped very, very fast, obviously, because of the news. And then all of a sudden, boom, we started to roll back right at that 7 o'clock. It's that knee-jerk reaction to it. So this is kind of the pre-market traders. And we were sitting, I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll make it a little bit bigger for you. This is where we were sitting yesterday afternoon. And we mentioned, you know, everything more or less was good. We had a little pullback and a little bit of a push, you know, forward higher. Today, I would say it's going to be a little bit more of how does the media cover this one? All right.
Right.
Now we know that we kind of have a top put in here. And again, does this mean that this is it? This is the top? It'll never go any higher than this? I think the answer to that question is no. But I do think today is going to be a little bit more interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised as we get closer to the window if we kind of come back up to where we were before kind of rolling over. I do think we will probably have, you know, like I said, it depends on how the media spins this one, but I would kind of keep an eye. And really, I mean, if we drop this down to a 15-minute, I think would be the best way to look at this one and talk about where we have levels of basing. I mean, you could use this as a top level here and say, okay, we've been up here before. Sellers came and stepped this around. It was a news-based reversal. And again, that's a kind of quick gut check in there. That could be a level that we don't necessarily use to go short off of, but we can use that as our next launching point for when it is time to go long. Because I do think with where the economy is, all the statements we've heard, I do think this has potential to go higher. If it comes up, and the way to play this would be is if we're able to kind of battle back from the news today, come up and then start the base in here, that'll be kind of a telltale sign saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're fighting a little bit, but we're also stabilized lower. Let's look for a burst through. So for me, I'm looking for this. Where is it? Right here. You know, if we can get a punch through this 13,709 level, I would look for some basing. Look for that little Harry Potter. The base to give us an established level of risk. Look for a pop above, a pullback, and then something to go much, much higher on that one. Like I said, I feel like when the market opens today, every retail trader out there is going to be trying to short this market. And remember, for them to short something, there has to be somebody on the other side of the trade willing to, you know, to give it to them, right? I think a lot of the reaction is in. It's there. I think the pre-market computers professionals have already kind of taken advantage of this one. So again, like I said, I think it will kind of whip back and forth, and then coupled with CPI, I think you know, it has every reason to go down. But I think there's going to be a lot of traps out there today because it's too perfect of a situation to short, if that makes sense.
So yeah, and well, and I mean, you kind of nailed it. It's sort of already happened. You know, I mean, this is this is that 15-minute chart that we're looking at. I mean, that's a pretty emotional reaction, and we are fighting our way back. I mean, it's been chopping its way back. I mean, there were definitely some people who shorted that. And,
it's a parabolic retracement move, right? We've been talking about that a lot lately.
And that's, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see that, a parabolic retracement. I think it's people who did short it initially, or you know, right now, hey, let's go buy it back. That was a great trade. It was an opportunity. I mean, just in 15 minutes or in 30 minutes, it was a very knee-jerk reaction. I mean, in the Dow, there's probably and Dow is where it took the brunt of it. You know, I do want to. I'm just going to drop real quickly over to the S&P just to show you. And Brian, you could show this as well. Where is that? The US 500. There we go. I mean, you can see what happened in the US 500. It's already made the entire parabolic move. The Dow hasn't caught up to it as quickly. I'm not sure. I mean, you know, Johnson, you know, it can impact the Dow more than it does the S&P 500. But the S&P 500 actually did an entire parabolic retracement. There's that drop. It hit the chart looks almost identical, except the S&P, the US 500, is actually come all the way back. And in fact, I think NASDAQ may even be slightly green on the day.
It is, yeah. Right now I showed it as 0.5 up.
So
Nasdaq's like, I don't care, whatever, it's fine with me. Stay home, buy more video cards, more computers. Yeah, I mean, here's the ES chart that I have, and like I said, this is the ideal definition. If you guys haven't watched the webinar, go back and look it up. I mean, what we're looking for in the way that I analyze my charts is I'm looking for areas in buyers and sellers. I'm looking for fast movement off specific levels. This is not hard. This is a move straight down. And again, this is why trading, we have the tagline. I mean, who wants to buy it when you have that bad news when it comes straight down again? Well, we know that we had buyers in there in the past. And what did it do? It literally turned, and right now we're at, a 6.6? Actually, it's a little bit higher now. Let me actually control the top of this. We are at, it's a 1 to 6.8 risk to reward. And again, it's gone all the way back. So as earth-shattering as that news was, it literally came all the way down, went all the way back up again. So it's just one of those things, guys. You got to be prepared for these. And like I said, did we know that we were going to have J&J pulled this morning because of 6 cases? No, absolutely not. But when you hear something like that, and there's all of a sudden blockbuster news, the goal is not to be like, oh my God, it came out 7 minutes ago. I need to jump in and be with everybody else. I need to short this. Nah, figure out where, again, remember, you don't want to be the last person into a trade, right? You don't want to be the person that buys it at its most expensive price ever, right? You don't want to be the person that's selling on the way down, right? Unless you're the one that, sold it to, somebody else because you already owned it. You don't want to get short a position. That's where you open yourself up. Again, look for an area where it's like, okay, listen, profit taking is going to happen, right? Remember, think about it this way. Are you going to be faster than the supercomputer with the advanced AI? No, you're going to be the one that is giving it, you're going to be the one buying it back from them so they can get their profit. And then meanwhile, it goes in the other direction like it's doing right now. And again, look, it's even going higher at this point. It's back up to, now it's a 1 to 7 risk to reward ratio trade.
Yep.
So this is what you do. Let me just add this real quick. This is how you use Nadex products correctly. When you have these areas marked off, they don't go anywhere on the chart. Look for these drops. I mean, this is a 30-minute chart. This was established back on April 9th. We knew that was there. It was very, very clear. In your weekend analysis, go out there and look. Look for things like where are the call spreads every night. Look where the touch brackets are. In the morning when you see a drop like this, you can say, oh, this came out at 7 o'clock. Okay, great. Grab a 7 to 9 2-hour contract and say, hey, listen, if I can get something a little bit farther out of the money, we know the open's coming and we know there's going to be volatility. Is there a way to take advantage of this? Can I make money in a short, quick basis before the open and then be done by 9 o'clock? Well, had you taken something small here, if you don't, and again, if you guys are unfamiliar with this, go look at the contract specifications or go into your Nadex contracts, look to see what the strike width is between those binaries, and go back and look at it and say, okay, this happened at 7 o'clock this morning. Look at the shorter duration, even the 8 to 10 there, was in there. Go look at them, see how much you needed it to move to be able to make a profit on there. And then next time you hear blockbuster news, log into your demo, go into those short duration contracts and look for retracements. And again, look at short duration binaries, look at your call spreads to see if you're close to a floor or a ceiling, and even potentially go check out a knockout. This would have been a great knockout trade. I don't know if there's one over here, but again, always check. If again, knowledge is power. That's how it works.
All right, and just out of curiosity, is Jen in agreement?
No, she's not. She came in again. We have to have her backpack wherever we go. So we got her backpack, and she's trying to go back to sleep on me. She must have heard me talking, and she's already got separation anxiety. She's like, no, I don't want milk. Just hold me. We're in the koala pose.
One of these days, she's gonna have to come and chat with us.
Hey, I'm telling you, once she starts talking, she doesn't stop these days. So be careful what you wish for. Everyone's like, she's so cute. I was like, but she doesn't stop talking at home.
What's the joke? I spent the first, 4 years of my son's lives teaching him to walk and talk. Yeah, and then spent the rest of their life telling them to sit down and shut up.
Yeah, they just don't stop. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So with that, questions for Nadex, email us, customerservice@nadex.com. Questions for Brian, support@keeptradingsimple.com. We are doing a full-blown analysis in a couple of hours. I dropped the link into the chat. Register for it. We do it every Tuesday. It's an analysis of all of the markets, not just a couple of hot spots before the markets open. But we give you something every morning here. It's the retail trader will be getting in 30 minutes. So you've got something to be looking at. The equity is certainly moving around a lot before the markets. And then please join us late in a few hours for the full-blown session. With that, Want to wish everyone good luck in the markets. We will catch you again tomorrow morning. Thanks for joining. Catch you.